From Navigate Affordable Housing Partners, this is Housing Compass. This season, Community Partners, Community Impact features Navigate Gives Back recipients sharing what they see, what communities need, and how practical support creates lasting impact.
Housing Compass.
In this episode, we are talking to Gerrel Jones, the Executive Director of Renew Birmingham. And today we're talking about why home repair is housing stability. Gerrel, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ebony. I appreciate you asking me.
Well, to get us started, tell us a little bit about Renew Birmingham.
Renew Birmingham is a collective impact resource organization. That's a fairly new term. I think I coined it. But it's a combination of things. It is a holistic approach: housing, adult education, workforce development, youth services, jobs and transportation, and what we call community health and wellness. We have 35 MOU partners, but we can partner with anybody at any time because we act as a hub, and we pay other organizations to do services in our shrunken service area. I have 8 people on staff, and there's about 8 to 12,000 people at any given time in this area. I think the population is increasing now, but you really can't serve any more than that. You can give away stuff in a larger area, but for what we do, involves a concept that we call resident reciprocity, which means that residents have to invest in order to get a resource. So we believe that fear, apathy, and dependency are the driving factors behind community decline. And so contributing to that inadvertently is whether it's on purpose or not, but even inadvertently, it is a detriment to the community. So we don't want to fund failure. So what we do is we get people to, if they have a need, then they have to volunteer, quote unquote, at a rate of $20 per volunteer credit to get that need met. The best thing about it, though, is that we're able to put those people in cohorts so that we can develop that cohesion, working together on common goals while they're working to get their need met, whether it's a bill paid or whether it's a critical repair or whether it's rental assistance. They're going to go volunteer at the school. They're going to go volunteer at another nonprofit or church or cut grass or pick up trash, but something that has to do with contributing to the advancement of your own neighborhood. And while they're doing that, they're in relationship with other people who have ours. So they didn't know these neighbors before, but now they're out there working on common goals, which is at the core of community. That changes the culture. And so we believe that if you can change the culture, you can change outcomes across the board. So the idea is to synergize individual benefit with positive community outcomes.
Yeah. And when we talk about community revitalization, we usually think of outsiders coming in, building something new here, some houses there. But this is really from the inside out that you're doing this.
The metrics tell us that, Birmingham's been here 150 years, 155. The United States has been here. She's celebrating 250 years. And I think that the widening wealth gap and the fact that whatever it is that we've been doing hasn't produced the type of metrics, high violence, low property values, disinvestment, so there needs to be something different done. 30% of Americans have never spoken to their neighbor is the statistics that I've been. It's not changed over the years. People are still moving in isolation. Well, you can't build community like that. And in underserved communities, when you don't have community cohesion, then you get a lot of negative outcomes. And so building an organization that would counter that was important. How do we address fear, apathy, and dependency? Through giving people agency as they get their needs met.
So part of that, because we're talking about home repair lending to housing stability, how does that work with Renew Birmingham?
Right.
When it comes to critical repairs for maybe a neighbor who's been there since they were born.
Right. So critical repair is absolutely necessary in order to maintain property values or increase property values. When it's neglected, oftentimes people end up having to leave those homes, and then now they're abandoned. And not only do they lose the value of the home, but the city loses value as a result of their property values going down, and now we have another blighted property. So critical repair allows people to continue to live in the homes that they have, And so that is stabilizing. And having legacy people, if you will, not gatekeepers, but legacy people in the community is important, I think, in inspiring leadership. And if you can pull the strength and the out of those people and pull it together, and that's again what Renew Birmingham looks to do, is pull people's human resources, if you will, together, their intellectual capital, their sweat equity, and their willingness to invest in making their ideas a reality.
How does that change the outcome when the work is done with the residents and not just for them or around them?
Right. It's a community impact because we're not only working with them as an organization, but the organization template is to have them work together with other neighbors, right? So community cohesion produces collective efficacy. If you have a connected, cohesive, neighborhood community, negative outcomes are at a low. And so this is at the core of what we're trying to establish. Is not just getting somebody a resource, but actually getting the resource in social currency out of them, right? And that's how you do it. You put their hands on something, they're interacting with people that they didn't interact with. And so that, the culture change is really what spurs the continued success. And if I can talk about that success for just a minute, what it's done
Yeah,
is
please do.
that this is our fourth year. And we've had every year that we've been here, we've had a reduction in homicides from the years before. The year that the city of Birmingham set a record with 152, we set a record low over here. We hadn't seen 8 homicides in so long. When we first got here in 2022, it was 13. In 2021, it was 12. In 2020, it was 11. So there was a steady rise, 11, 12, 13. And then we came in and I was really shocked, honestly, that we had a reduction because the city was, not doing well at that time. But then the next year was really a shock because we set a low of 8 and the city of Birmingham set 52. So that was, we've been really, really excited about this year. We've only got 2 homicides and one of those was not community generated. And any loss of life is always going to be sad and tragic. But when you are at halfway through the year and you've only got, one in a community that is used to having lots, um, we're really happy about that.
What do you, I mean, what do you think is happening?
Well, I think a lot of things that have to do with the information that we receive. As I interact with people, I have a recognition that things that I had learned growing up. There's a lot of mores and norms and even faith rules that I've cast away. They are no longer useful as I've gotten more wise. And I think a lot of people are experiencing the same thing. We have a lot more access to information. I think people are coming to grips with some of the things that maybe we used to do or used to like, or we used to think was okay. And now looking at the outcome going, no, that's not what we want to do. And I don't know why people are changing, but it's clear that there's a lot of things going on and that homicides are down nationally. And so yeah, I figure there must be a national antecedent.
So, what's one thing for your area of service that you're watching closely right now?
Yeah, the how to, because we're learning this on the fly. Like, there's no template that we were able to follow. But once you start accessing people and bringing them to spaces and creating that camaraderie, it's the maintenance of it then, right? So you have to have a vehicle to track if people are continuing to interact. We use Charity Tracker to track interaction with us, but we're right now, I'm watching how to track interaction between residents. And, there's some things on the table, some apps that where they can contact. There's some apps that are already available. We have a group me, a very large group of clients that engage in that. And so that's one of the ways we're looking at keeping residents continually engaged because you want to keep the culture moving forward. You don't want to have something happen and people start getting disengaged and they fall back into relapse into
Yeah.
degeneration again.
So, you guys were a recipient of the Navigate Gives Back grant. So,
Yes.
congratulations on that. You applied for that grant money to do what with Renew Birmingham?
We did a lot of critical repair, a lot of rental assistance, and uh, a lot of education in that process, right? Because when people get assistance from us, they literally are case managed. It's not you just come and you do some volunteer work and no, you get a life plan, right? Because we want to know why you're 50 and can't pay your bills, right? And if you if you think that's a normal, we got to give you another one, right? So the idea is to get people. We teach financial literacy, homeowner education, right? All of these things we actually give volunteer hours for when you attend these classes.
So when you do a critical repair, does the sweat equity for the homeowner come into that? Do they have to help with that repair, or is it
No,
in another area?
no. They're doing community work. Nobody has to do any work on their home. It's all in the community because what we want to do is get you together with other residents, right? See, here's what I know about relationships. They're the most important thing you're ever going to have. They're the most valuable thing that you're ever going to have. And when your relationship broke, you're probably going to be broke at some point if you're from an underserved community. So most of us aren't born with silver spoons, right? So if I can put people in relationship wealth, then their needs they'll start to learn how to meet their own needs. Because I remember growing up and borrowing sugar. People didn't use in the projects and people didn't let you, not have something to eat,
Yeah.
and so not have air conditioning if y'all was bundled up in there, you got children there. So we want to get people back to the idea that cohesion and that relationships with your neighbors is an important part of your life, that it enhances the quality of your life, and that your home is your wealth base.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us. How can people learn more about Renew Birmingham? And if they want to help, is that possible?
Yes. You can look us up at renewbham.org. That's renewbham.org. You can send an email to info@renewbham.org, or you can call. And you can call me directly if you have questions. And if you got a check, then we definitely will put that check to good use. So that's 205-919-9177 is my personal number for donors. And if you want to just get some information, you can call 205-201-4275, and that'll be the office at Renew Birmingham.
Thanks for listening to Housing Compass, the Navigate Affordable Housing Partners podcast. To learn more about Navigate Gives Back, visit navigatehousing.com and click Navigate Gives Back. On that page, you can also sign up for notifications about future grant opportunities and updates. Thanks again for joining us for Community Partners, Community Impact. We'll see you next time.